All right, everybody, we'll go ahead and jump right in. We'll start with Grant Ramey, then Mike Wilson.
Rick, is it strange when you're starting the SEC schedule and you're going on the road for the first time all season? And do you have any idea what to expect from your guys going on the road?
Well, yeah, it's something I don't think is ideal. That's why when we lost the game at Notre Dame, and just those neutral site games would have been different, but it's not the way it is. It's an unusual year, as we all know. So I'm sure it's going to happen to some other teams. I would have guessed. I haven't looked around at everybody's schedule nationally, but it's not the ideal thing we would like to have had with the way our preseason went. But with that said, it is here. It's what it is, and we're going to have to go be ready to play against a very good Missouri basketball team.
Rick, as far as, travel and just the road trip process in general, are there changes you expect that from a normal season given COVID, and do you put more restrictions on what your guys are able to do?
No, we talked about a lot of different things, in terms of, did we want to maybe turn it into traveling the day of the game, or, we have gone through so many different scenarios with it, but we're really going to stick with what we have. We've talked, obviously, Mary Carter and Chad and everybody. Garrett's talked to the people at the hotels in terms of how we would like for things to be set up when we come in and eat, and our meals that way, our meeting rooms and all those type things we've talked about with the hotels, obviously. But restriction wise, really, we've never put a lot of restrictions on our guys. We think they know exactly what they're supposed to do. They know what our standard is. They know what we expect, the way they're supposed to conduct themselves. And we have full confidence in them doing what we do, because one, when we get in, we pretty much are in and out within 24 hours, and it's very much organized, and they know what's expected in terms of their preparation, whether we're playing here or on the road.
Nicholas Hill and Ryan Shumpert.
Coach, just based off what you've seen off of game tape, just what is your evaluation of this Missouri team, the first team that you've played all year that's ranked?
Well, they're really good defensively. They are a heavy gap team that they do a great job of swarming in and wanting to break the ball loose and get out in transition. They're playing at a much faster pace than they have probably since we've gone up against them, with Kwanzaa being there with them. And so they're different. But I think they're a really well-coached team. And on both sides, I think they know exactly how they want to play, who they want to play through, and they know who they are, and they play to that.
Hey, Coach, I think it was around this time last year when y'all really started putting an emphasis on getting the ball down low to John and Eves. You think that'll be something that'll be similar this year as you'll start SEC play, or are you pretty pleased with the balance of inside-outside scoring so far?
We really haven't changed our attack from a year ago. At the end of the year, we've always tried to be an inside-out team, and that's not just throwing the ball in; it's dribbling the ball in. It's all kinds of different ways to try to get it there. But we do want to. We do like those inside-out threes when they're rhythm step-in shots. We do like that. We think we've got guys that can make those shots, but we also think that we have guys that can drive the ball and create some offense. But with most of our sets, they're geared inside out, and that's what we do, and that's what we'll continue to do.
Ben McKee and Rob Lewis.
Coach, with only having played a couple of games, not as many as you would when you typically enter conference play, and you missed out on some key games, as you just mentioned, do you feel like the team is where it needs to be entering conference play? And if it is or isn't, how far behind do you feel the team is compared to a normal year entering conference play?
Well, it's not a normal year, so I would say that I think anybody who's played, unless they've been able to play their full allotment of games, and even with that said, no one has been allowed to play the number of non-league games we've played in the past, so I'm not sure anybody could think that they're where they want to be or where they should be or whatever it may be, just because we've not played as many games and don't have as much different variety of teams that you play against or you can see in a normal non-league schedule. But whether we are or aren't, we better be ready, because we're getting ready to play teams that anybody on our schedule on any given night could beat us, and we know that. And so we better understand the importance of getting better right now. And I think I would tell you that all the way up until the last game of the year, because I think you can get better every time you go out. And I hope that we have the mindset that we're not anywhere near what we can be, but the question is, can we become who we want to be? It will be a commitment by everyone every day trying to improve.
Coach, with 6 games under your belt, just what are 1 or 2 things that you'd really like to see your team get better at as you start league play?
Well, the key would be the C word, consistency, on everybody. I don't think we've had one guy that has been absolutely consistent. I would say probably our most consistent player has been Josiah. But overall, Santi, possibly 2 guys have been fairly consistent. But the other guys, they're not as consistent, or that I know that they have to be, and what I think they will become. And obviously continue to take care of the ball at a very high rate of percentage wise, and rebound the ball. And if we do that, we're going to try to keep playing good, solid defense without fouling.
Mike Wilson and Trey Wallace.
Rick, Missouri, I think is probably the most experienced team in the SEC with the guys they returned. How much of a factor do you think that is in success for teams like yours, Missouri, Georgia, Arkansas early this season?
It's definitely a factor. And when you think about it, I've said before that when we have to stop and start, you really believe that the older guys can come back in a day or so. You feel like they've got it pretty much back under control. Younger guys, as we've gone through it with these guys this year with a shortened off season and stops within the normal academic year, those guys have taken much longer to get back to it. Their retention hasn't been what you want it to be. Their physical conditioning is not what it ought to be when they take those when we've had to take those stops. So there's no question that teams that are older and experienced, they're not hurt nearly as much as a younger group would be because of the stoppage. Just because the older guys, I think they know what you want. It doesn't take them as long to get back in it, and the younger guys still don't know what you want, and it takes them a whole lot longer to get back in it.
Rick, have you spoken with your team? The first time you guys are going to go on the road since last March when you were heading to Nashville for the SEC tournament. Have you kind of talked with your team, just about protocols, what y'all are going to do on the road? You're going to have like a dry run of how you would prepare for Wednesday night in Columbia. And what's that experience going to be like, first time on the year, you're traveling into an opponent's arena?
Well, with the exception of a couple guys, these guys have been on the road. They know that we have a routine, and our routine really doesn't change whether we're here or on the road. Our preparation doesn't change. We prepare for Missouri the same way we would prepare for Appalachian State, Tennessee Tech, St. Joe. So our guys know exactly what we expect. They know exactly how we go about our meetings. And the difference is we're going to bus to the airport, get on a plane, fly there, get off, go to a hotel, and then we're going to do what we normally do. It's whether we're here or there. We, again, really try to stay very much to a very regimented type schedule.
Rob Lewis and Gustavo.
Coach, how would you rate your team, I guess especially the freshmen, as far as being able to take a scout and execute it in the game? Because those kids aren't used to the kind of preparation that goes into getting ready to play an opponent.
Rob, I would say overall they've been good, but I will say this to you: most breakdowns that we've had this year have come from the younger guys. They understand again the different game. They're learning that the college game is different what they've played in the past. Understanding how quickly you can get burnt if you don't execute a game plan. How a lot of guys don't need very much space. Just simply guarding a three-point shooter instead of being outside the line, having a foot being inside the three-point line, one foot makes all the difference in the world. Not having your hands up ready to play. So I think they've had to learn that. But with that said, we just a constant reminder with our older players. I mean, some days they have it, some days they don't. I mean, I got to watch the end of the Kansas City game yesterday, and Patrick Mahomes said, I didn't play well. And you would think that pros would play well every day. but they don't. It's sometimes you just don't have it as much as you want to have it. But one thing for certain, these guys, they want to do the right thing. There's no doubt about it, but there's a lot going on. Speed of the game, coaches make adjustments, players make adjustments, make reads. So it's a constant battle to stay alert, to stay ready, communicate. And going back to Rob, your question earlier, I guess probably the biggest thing would be communication, especially in our ball screen coverage where we're talking early and loud and where guys can get where they need to go.
Coach, you had 11 games, you have 5 games on a span of 11 days, and now you had this Christmas break. How do you see now the players coming back? What do you want to see from them, after this break? I feel like the players wanted to spend Christmas on a break, but, getting back on the court, especially on the road.
Well, I think they're excited about playing. They want to play basketball right now. We said it before we even got the season started. We'd practiced, even though we didn't practice as long as we normally would in terms of time, but there's no doubt right now they're ready to get in the groove of playing. They know now if things go the way we hope they go, they'll be playing 2 games a week and we'll be again into our routine. But there is no doubt these guys are looking forward to playing. And I think more importantly, I think they still understand that we've got room for improvement.
Rob Lewis and Nicholas Hill.
Coach, you mentioned Josiah being the most consistent guy through these 6 games. What has he done that you really like, and just where's he really improved from last year in your mind?
Well, I think he's starting to develop the game that he needs, that he feels comfortable with. I mean, as you know, he has improved much as a shooter, and his decisions have been more consistent. His rebounding on both ends. I even think his voice. I think he probably has as good a voice as there is on the team, because again, you can have a voice when you've earned the respect of your teammates, and the work ethic that he puts in every day, I think is pretty obvious that his teammates respect him. But he's just been consistent in trying to, again, take care of the scouting report, rebound the ball, the things that we've asked him to do.
Coach, I'm curious, with the Christmas break that you had, did you get to see any of your former players play on Christmas Day, especially Kevin Durant, considering that he just has come back from a Achilles injury that missed all of last year?
I didn't get to watch much on Christmas Day really at all. I'm not surprised with Kevin coming back like that. I mean, he has a tremendous love and passion. And the last time I spoke to him, I asked him how he felt. This was back while they were still playing in the bubble. And he said, I'm ready to go. And he said, obviously he won't go, but he said he was ready. And we talked about how hard he had been working at it, which he doesn't have to talk about that. I know how hard he works at it. But anything he does, I'm not surprised, because of tremendous respect for the game, his tremendous respect for his ability and his willingness to want to maximize what the good Lord's given him.
Finish up with Mike Wilson.
Yeah, Rick, Missouri had some health problems last year with guys like Jeremiah Tillman, Mark Smith. How much do you think having Tillman regularly in the lineup has helped their team early this season?
Well, I think it helps a lot. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, Mike, I think last year when we went up there was the first game he missed, I believe.
Yep.
I don't think he'd missed one prior to that. So they were learning again, obviously, to play without him, but he's a talent. And again, I think that they've done a nice job getting him to understand. He's gotten better, and that's a compliment to himself and his coaches.
All right. Thank you, Coach. Appreciate everyone for your patience.